occupations complementary to agriculture for animals to perform would be certain, like where cows and buffaloes are capable of giving milk. So this milk obtained from them can be utilized and consumed by humans as well as any other organism that would be needing them. And we understand that milk is a complete diet. It has all the nutrients, it has all the vitamins in it that are necessary for the body functions. Along with that, also buffaloes, oxen, asses are these animals that have really tremendous physical strength to perform activities. So because of this physical strength, this increased physical strength to perform activities, these animals are capable of performing transportation, of performing physical labor. So for these two types of activities also, these kind of animals like bullocks, oxen, asses have been used over the while by the humans itself. And along with this, not only by the process of this, the agriculture has just not been a very mainstreamed occupation. So what does animal husbandry do is that it becomes complementary to it, and it's like a complementary field of occupation to be performed by the people of rural areas or any other area to have a very rich livelihood source. So for this matter, the occupations that would be like in the animal husbandry would be performed would be some of like sheep rearing, I've mentioned it there, for poultry management, for poultry purposes, for pearl culture, for pisciculture, for obtaining lac from these various worms. So these are certain applications where animal husbandry is really highlighted and brought in use. So now we'll just understand by studying what sheep culture actually is. Let's start with sheep culture. Now, sheep culture, as the name suggests, is culturing and rearing and tending of sheep in order to have the benefit from them, and the benefit would be including the wool, the meat that is obtained from the sheep. Now, why sheep rearing? Since sheep rearing is a very inexpensive process, it's a very inexpensive activity to be performed, because the sheep, they are capable of feeding on bor and bahul trees that are found almost in every area where actually goats survive on these mountainous areas. So it becomes really inexpensive for the farmer to feed on them. So the next purpose for the farmer opting for sheep rearing culture is because since the farmer does not have to put in money for feeding them, he does not have to make an input actually to obtain the profit. So the amount of profit that the farmer or any other person from these rural areas will be having quite much more, as we also understood that these goats, they feed on bor and bahul trees that are found on these regions, the mountainous regions. So it is very inexpensive to feed them. In return, we get a lot of returns actually. So that's why it proves to be profitable. Now, how profitable? We know that these sheep, they are actually responsible for giving us wool, by which the woolen clothes are knitted and then further utilized in the winter seasons and provide us warmth. So this becomes a very major business, because in this way the sheep has the wool being shed out of its body, it goes to the industries, it is processed, and in return the farmer is getting a pretty good return cost that proves it to be profitable for him. Just not only that, the sheep also provides a meat of around 10 to 12 kgs. So that's quite much for not putting in any expenditure on these sheep and in return getting a huge amount of profit. Not only that, but also if we look on a very biological base, the excreta or the manure of these sheep is very rich in the nitrogen content, the phosphorus content, and the potash content. Now because of these three contents, what happens is the soil needs these contents just to fertilize it more and increase the crop yield. So the sheep's manure is actually enhancing the quality of soil by providing it the fertilizer that it requires, and in return helping the nature in a very biological way too. So this is for sheep actually. Now let's shift our attention to the poultry farming. Now poultry farming would be nothing but the type of farming where we get meat and eggs. Now meat and eggs are obviously obtained from the birds like hen and chicken. So talking about hen, the hen is preferred to have been given and or laying eggs that are consumed by the humans on a very daily basis. So the type of hens that are used, that are actually kept for laying eggs, are known as layers. Now these layers are actually chosen in such a way that the amount of food being fed to them is pretty decent than compared to the outcome that would be obtained. So say that there is a foreign breed of this hen named white leghorn, and this white leghorn is given a feed of say 125 grams of intake every day. So the amount of eggs that this hen will be laying would be around 200 to 250. Now that's really much compared to the amount of the intake that is given by or taken up by the breed of this hen. So 125 grams would give around 200 to 250 of eggs. Along with that, also there is something known as stable eggs. Now the eggs that we consume are the ones that are not fertilized and are consumable. So that is why these are known as stable eggs, whereas the eggs that would be fertilizable, they wouldn't be consumed. Then there is another part to actually the poultry farming. Now I told you about meat and eggs being a part. We have spoken about eggs being a part of the poultry farming. Now let's shift our focus to the meat. So in meat, the fleshy meat that is obtained from these birds is known as a broiler. Now broilers are usually well fed so that their bodies become fleshy, they have a lot of mass in them, and that makes their quality more rich. So these broilers are well fed actually to just have a nice and a very rich end product, that is the healthy chicken that would be further eaten and consumed by the various humans to fulfill their hunger needs, and in return be helpful. Along with that, not only just be helpful for the nutritional content, but also these broilers would have high quality for them to be sold in, and that's why the broilers are preferred when they are pretty healthy. So the type of fleshy and healthy broilers or the meat that would be preferred would be the types of hens like Rhode Island Red and White Leghorn. So these two are the type of the broilers that are most preferred because of the quality and the amount of flesh in them that would be consumed further to give nutrition to the human body. So I'll repeat this once again for you. I'll add a gist, just make a note of it and write it down. So we started with the complementary occupations other than agriculture for animals to perform. So animals are capable of performing the functions or the activities like the transportation and physical work, various physical work. So the animals that are capable of performing the transportation and the physical heavy load that they would be able to take would be the buffaloes, would be the oxen, the asses. These are the most commonly used type of the animals. Along with that, also the cows and buffaloes are used to obtain milk, and milk has a huge sector in India, has a huge business sector in India. So more the amount of milk would be more profitable for the person who is breeding these animals. Along with that, we also understood that actually, except for the activity of agriculture and transportation, the animals are also used for other purposes, and these purposes are going to be sheep rearing, poultry farming, along with that pisciculture, then lac culture, that means obtaining lac from the worms, and the pearl culture, obtaining pearl. So we learned about the sheep rearing. In sheep rearing, we understood that since it's a very less expensive method or occupation to perform, the farmers usually prefer this because the feeding of sheep is usually less expensive since they survive on the bor and the bahul trees. Along with that, we also understood that since the feeding cost was less, the amount of profits obtained were more. Now why that? Because the sheep has the capacity to give around the huge bulk of wool plus around 10 to 12 kilograms of meat. So that's quite a lot from one sheep. Imagine a herd being taken care of. Along with this, if sheep were not only fed from the bor and bahul tree, this is one extra point. So these sheep are actually capable of feeding on waste of jawar and the horse gram. So it makes it really feasible for the farmer to feed them in order to get them healthy and get them more fleshier. Along with this, not only from the cost point of view, we also saw from the biological point of view. In that we saw that the excreta or the manure of sheep had high nitrogen content, high phosphorus content and high potash content, because of which it made the soil more fertile. That would help increase its fertility, in return affecting the quality, and that means enhancing the qualities of the trees and plants around it. So along with that, we learned about poultry farming. We learned that in poultry farming, meats and eggs were the main kind of contents that were used, the components that were there in the poultry farming. Along with that, we understood that the hens kept for laying eggs are layers, while the broilers would be the ones that would be used for flesh.
Choose the right kindergarten, a right bag, and matching bottle to go with. The right school, the right friends. Choose the right subjects and score well. Be an expert in all. The right teacher, and make sure that they like you. Choose the right timing, the right bus, and take a cab if getting late. The right train, and don't stand near the gates. Mind the pockets. Better get into ladies' compartment. And make sure your mustache hasn't started coming. Choose the right study time and forget games. IPL, IHL, rock and metal, guitar, axe. The right group, and be a model to your brother. Seriously. Choose the right syllabus, the right test paper. Keep guessing questions for exams. Choose the right branch, the right college, the right stream. Choose the right career. Lucky to have a father's business to take care of and a father to allow that. The right counselor, the right form, and make sure the project is submitted on time. Choose the right website and rely on your friends for more information. Oblivious of the sites they have been to, There is no end to your woes. Getting better with every step you climb up the ladder. The summer vacations shorter. The bucket list bigger. The night darker. The books heavier. The only light you have is your friends ahead of you. Probably he is right. Ever thought how he got the direction? No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes. No more missing classes for rain, rally, and nonsense. Get your interest back in subjects through our creative ways of teaching. Doubts, concepts, applications, all explained through one vibrant animation. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Special programs only for basic foundation and paper analysis. Personality development, career counseling, admissions, hobbies, all covered. A new approach to study with long-term perspective. So sit back comfortably in your homes and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
That is a type of a foreign hen, was a kind of hen that needed less capacity of intake of food, that would be around 125 grams of food, and serve to give or lay around 200 or to 250 eggs per day. So one hen laying these many eggs, imagine the amount of profit the person breeding these hens would be having. Plus, we learned about the table eggs. We learned that these table eggs were the ones that weren't fertilized. So since they weren't fertilized, they were consumable. Also, we learned about broilers. That for broilers, it was important to have the meat or the source of meat, that would be the hen or any other bird like chicken, to be fleshy and to have good quality of meat. So for that, the meat or the broiler is usually fed with good amount of food to make the broiler hefty, heavy and fleshy. And the most preferred meat from the broilers would be the Rhode Island Red and the White Leghorn, since these two are capable of giving good quality of meat and have fleshy impact in the end. So with this, we will be proceeding further to the pearl culture and understanding what exactly is pearl culture. So talking about pearl culture, we know that pearls have had their importance ever since the ancient times. That means they were used for the purpose of ornaments and decorative materials. Just to enhance them, these pearls were actually used. So pearls are actually an organic substance, and it's an organic hard substance that is made by a marine animal named oyster. So what happens is the oyster has that granule of sand entering its body, which finally gets turned due to certain secretions and due to certain processes into a final outcome of pearl. So since these number of oysters are in a limited range, so what happens is now that the technology that was ever since introduced has the same oyster introduced with 1 grain of sand in it, for it to convert that grain of sand into a pearl piece over a prolonged period of time actually. And this technology, as I told you, is known as the pearl culture. Right over here, the commercial scale production of pearls by the process and the technologies opted is known as the pearl culture, and the pearl that is produced is known as the cultured pearl. Since it's not a naturally produced pearl, it is going to be a cultured pearl. It is going to be known as a cultured pearl. Since it's known as a cultured pearl, it is not artificial. It is not artificial because it happens to the same procedure in the oyster itself, but it doesn't mean that it is a very artificial process, because it is not manufactured in the factories or industries. It's again an organic procedure where the marine animal, that's the oyster, that is converting this granule into a very beautiful product, that is the pearl. So pearl is actually used for the purpose of making of ornaments, and the purpose of designing, and the purpose of the embroidery, and all these other fancy materials where the usage and the outcome of pearl is going to be really attractive, and it's going to be used in a very creative manner. Let's shift our concern to the next industry, that is the lac industry. Now in lac industry, I'm sure we have seen the sealing wax that is used in offices to put a stamp to the letters or to the envelopes. And I'm sure that we have seen how bangles are actually made in the rural areas. If you might have had ever visited there, you might have had seen these to be known as the lac bangles. So what does the vendor do is that he heats the lac and he makes bangles out of them of various shapes, and that's equally impressive actually, if you might have had observed it. So just let's shifting our concern back. We've understood that what exactly lac is. Now, how is lac produced? So lac is actually produced by an insect, that's the lac insect, and its secretions are responsible for the production of the lac that results into the final outcome of the wax seal and of the lac bangles or any other ornaments that would be made of the lac. So over here we also understand that these lac insects are the insects that are present on the cacti or the flame of forest trees. Now flame of forest tree is going to be the palas tree. So we understood about what exactly lac is. We understood about who is responsible for creating or producing this lac. We also understood about where are these insects found. Now let's just shift to the commercial aspect. Now lac is the component that's made only in India, and that is why it has commercial importance in the field, in the industries, because since it's made only in India and it has its demands everywhere, so it contributes a lot to the GPA of the economy. I'll just repeat these two again. We'll have a quick repeat session. So pearl cultures. Now pearl cultures, we know pearls are really precious, and we utilize them for ornaments and decorative materials. Just try opening your mother's jewelry box and you'll see a lot of pearls in that. So probably that is the one that's been made for her exclusively. Then we also learned in pearl culture that pearl culture was made from the marine animals that were the oysters. I'll write that down. It's spelled as OYESTERS. Now these oysters are the ones that are capable of taking a granule of sand in them and hereby converting them to a beautiful outcome that would be an organic hard compound that would be the pearl. Now, since the advent of technology, we know that technology has been really helpful over the while for us to make and to increase the needs and increase the luxury of life that we have had ever since now. So along with that, we also understand that the commercial scale production of pearl is going to be really possible because of these technologies. Now what happens is, by the normal procedures, we have a limited lot of oysters. So a limited lot of oysters will be producing one pearl each, and in the market the demand is going to be increasing a little bit more. So just to overcome this barrier, this procedure has been opted where one granule of sand is forcefully fed into the oyster to convert it to a pearl. And it is not an artificial pearl because it is not produced in factories. And this technology has actually helped in overcoming the shortage and the excessive demands of the pearl in the industry, because it the pearl culture actually is responsible for increasing the attractiveness and the appearance of any ornament or any other part or the embroidery that would be seen. So also along with that, the commercially scale produced the pearl is known as the cultured pearl. So that was one part that was important to understand. Along with that, we understood about the lac industry. Now we understood that where lac was actually found, in which areas were lac used. So lac was used as sealing wax in the envelopes. Along with that, lac was also used to make ornaments. And we learned that the lac insects would have secretions, and these secretions would result to the end product being the lac. And this lac was the lac worms or the lac insects were the ones that were found on the cacti trees or on the flame of forest trees that are also the palas. Then we also learned, since they are produced only in India, what happens is that the commercial importance of lac increases, contributing to the economies, the amount that would be contributed to the economy, that is the GPA. So in this way, we learned about two other cultures, two new cultures, that would be the pearl and the lac industry. Now let's just shift our attention to sericulture and to pisciculture. Now I'm sure that this is a new term introduced to you, so it's going to be really fascinating to learn about something new. It is always fascinating. So let's just understand about the pisciculture next.